Super Saloons, some of the coolest cars on the market, and today I'm going to talk you through 5 in particular that you can buy for under £30,000. A fair bit of cash, but all 5 of these cars have pretty insane performance. Let's get straight into it. Hit the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Subscribe as well if you're one of the 77% of people who aren't subscribed. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. We're kicking off with the Volvo S60 Polestar engineered, and when you let the Polestar team loose on any Volvo, it's always going to end up being fast, given they were originally a racing team and tuning brand taking part in the Swedish Touring Car Championship and partnered with Volvo officially in 2009 to become Polestar Performance, making some super fast Volvos. In 2015, Volvo actually purchased the brand and started directly selling cars that had Polestar involvement, similar to Mercedes with AMG. On this S60, Polestar originally created a concept of this car as the successor to their C30 Polestar concept, and that S60 made over 500 brake horsepower and did 0 to 60 in just 3.9 seconds, matching the Audi R8 around Laguna Seca and beating the lap record for 4-door cars, a proper piece of kit. Sadly, the actual Polestar engineered S60 we're on about today wasn't quite as potent, but it was still pretty unreal, arriving 6 years later with its 2-litre twin-charged inline-4 engine combined with electric power to produce 400 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.3 seconds, 0.4 seconds slower than that concept car. This is actually the 3rd generation S60, and that twin charging makes it pretty special. Not many cars have both a turbocharger and supercharger attached. I personally think it's a great looking car too, with Volvo's more modern stylings really hammering home the sleeper vibes. Speaking of hammers, you get Thor's hammer headlights, and speaking of Thor, in electric only mode these will manage around 22 miles, decent for city driving. More interestingly though, it comes with adjustable Öhlins dampers with 22 settings, which is pretty insane quality. Öhlins don't mess about, and yet despite that it hasn't become known as a proper M3 rival, as it's more focused on being a premium saloon that's also very fast rather than a hooligan like the M3. These start at around the 29k mark, however, making them the most expensive car on the list, and you'll get a 2019 model with 30k on it for that kind of money. They are quite complex because of that powertrain and all the electrics and stuff, so there's potential for them to have problems in future, though as they're pretty new I can't attest to their long-term reliability either way. There are many Audis I could have thrown into this video within this price range, but the S8 is actually a bit of a beast, taking on the majority of other super saloon Audis in this space and beating them on pace and luxury simultaneously. Now, it's not actually the most luxurious or the most expensive version of the Audi A8, despite there not being an RS8 equivalent, as it's the A8 LW12 that beats it in those regards. Instead, the S8 is kind of a luxury saloon version of a Bentley Continental GT, given it shares the same engine as the less potent model, a 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 producing 512 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.1 seconds, and it competes directly with cars like the C63 AMG or Alpina B7. Interestingly, third-party reviews have actually clocked it doing 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, by the way, meaning it would be the quickest car on this list. One special thing about the engine is that it has the clever cylinder deactivation, which means it can save fuel by dropping down to 4 cylinders instead of 8 and cruise along in slightly quieter comfort too. It got a facelift in 2015, which is most recognizable by the front grille changing from being quite rounded to being more angular, and it's important to remember that this car is literally in the limousine class, despite being able to do over 200 miles per hour when delimited. Imagine that, a 200 miles per hour luxury limousine with lovely leather upholstery and genuinely nice tech and luxuries for you to enjoy. It's just ridiculous. I also think it looks pretty mean for its size, and if you want a fast family car with an elevated level of luxury, why would you not consider one outside of the known turbo issues caused by oil strainers, which I believe was actually a recall fixed free of charge. These run you anywhere from around 15k at the bottom end, and double that is enough for a 2016 model with around 50,000 miles on the clock. From one German car to another now with the BMW M3 Competition from the F80 generation, which was a return to more typical BMW powertrains after the E90 generation had that hallowed V8, which was a lot of fun to drive. I've driven both the E90 generation M3 and the F82 M4, which shares the same underpinnings and engine as this, and I can tell you firsthand the experience is very different between the two. Where the E90 generation offers something that's a bit more analog, basic, and yet still flamboyant with the sound coming from that V8, the F generation somehow feels like a significant jump forward in terms of modernity, but not necessarily in out-and-out driver pleasure. However, I've not driven a competition, which takes things up a notch given it has more power, a quicker 0 to 60, more performance-tuned suspension, and an updated tune to the electronic stability control and diff to help it to be more useful when cornering at speed. That comes after the non-comp models can feel a bit bloated when turning corners. It retains the same basic engine block though, a 3-litre twin turbocharged inline 6, producing 443 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 3.9 seconds. Not the fastest of the F80 M3s, but definitely up there. A key way to spot a competition over a normal M3 is through the alloys, as the comps got the nice diamond style alloys, where the standard cars got the baseline alloys, and also by the black badging on the rear, which denotes a comp model. It was the first time the M3 only came as a saloon, as the M4 obviously took the coupe and convertible and there was no touring, so you'll only be getting our super saloon, and I think these look incredibly good with a liberal smattering of carbon fiber and performance parts. As they do look aggressive as standard, they look even more so when clad in carbon. These start at around the 28k mark nowadays, and 30k will get you a 2017 model with 65,000 miles on it. Crank hubs, charge coolers, valve cover gaskets, oil pan gaskets, and injector issues are the key known problems on these, and some owners have had issues with the DCT gearbox. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you want me to slash this price in half and do the same video again at under £15,000 instead, do hit the like button, I would really appreciate it. And subscribe as well if you're new. And let me know in the comments down below, what is the greatest super saloon of all time? The Mercedes C63 AMG S comes as a coupe, estate, and super saloon as well, and all three specs look really good in my books. What's nice about the saloon in particular is that it's kind of like a smaller and faster version of the E63 AMG, just with maybe slightly less aggressive overall looks given the slighter features. The previous C63 came with that lovely naturally aspirated V8 that sounded utterly savage, whereas this one got the block out of the AMG GT. Still a nice engine, but not quite as iconic. What it was, however, was more efficient, 32% more to be exact, so much better on fuel, tax, and ultimately your wallet. That engine is a 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 that makes 502 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 3.9 seconds, matching the M3, which is one of its main competitors. That means compared to the non-S C63, these gained more than 30 brake horsepower, though some reviews have complained that it's not quite as engaging to drive as the M3 and the next car on this list. That said, they do have a properly cool looking interior, particularly in later models, and outside they also look pretty beefy and aggressive too. The only thing I'd say though is that they do look cooler as coupes and estates, so I find it hard to really understand why you would go for the saloon. The estate is more practical, the coupe is more sleek, so where does the saloon really fit in? Brand new though, these were almost £75,000, meaning they were cheaper than some of their competitors like the M3 Comp, and though they are more expensive than the RS4, most reviews agree the C63 is the far superior package in this instance. To get into one, you'll need to spend around £27,000 at the bottom end, and 30k is enough for a 2015 model that's done around 65,000 miles. They're known to have carbon build-up, some known transmission and suspension issues, power steering failures, and some creaks and rattles. Only catastrophic issue I could find was with cylinder head bolts breaking. Taking the top spot on this list is probably the car that I've enjoyed driving the most this year, the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. I recently released a review on this car thanks to the amazing guys at Motorland in Beckenham, who you should definitely go and check out if you're after a Giulia, as they've sold many, and honestly it surprised me with just how much of a weapon it is. This thing is not built to make you feel like a hero, it's quite the opposite. Instead, the focus is on making you realise how close you are to perishing, and reminding you that if you don't take it seriously and measure the inputs you're giving it, you will be in a bush, upside down, in a lot of trouble. That's in large part thanks to that incredibly nice sounding 2.9 litre twin turbocharged V6 engine, which produces 502 brake horsepower, matching the AMG, taking it to 60 slightly quicker though at 3.8 seconds, hence is number 1 on this list, not just because of my own Alfa Romeo bias. Interestingly, the Giulia Quad was the first Giulia in the lineup, so all the other versions are effectively detuned versions of it. That is a key reason why these ended up being so good in top spec, as that was literally what they were designed to be. In the normal performance modes, these are very comfortable, but as soon as you put them in race mode, you awaken a different kind of beast. They also look absolutely stunning, and in my opinion will go down as a classic one day in the distant future. Again, check out the review linked in the end of the video if you want to hear more. £29,000 the minimum you'll find these listed for, and 1k more than that will get you a 2017 model with around 65,000 miles on the clock. Broadly, reliability has actually been very good on them, with sensor issues and the likes being the most common I could find. And so there we have it, 5 super saloons for under 30k. Thanks to you guys for watching. As the patrons for their support, click on screen to watch that Giulia Quad review now.